for Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, Prime Ticket presents the Dodgers as they take on the San Francisco Giants. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Wednesday evening to you, wherever you may be. It's the 9th meeting of the year. The Giants have won 5 of 8. However, the Dodgers have won 2 straight against San Francisco and trying for a sweep. The Dodgers swept the Giants last up in AT&T Park last year. The last time they've ever swept the Giants here at Dodger Stadium, you have to go back to 2009. Tonight, the 6th time the matchup between Cy Young Award winners Tim Lincecum and Clayton Kershaw. For Lincecum, he is 8-5 lifetime against the Dodgers. Kershaw is 9-4 against San Francisco. In their head-to-head meetings, it's all Kershaw, 4 wins and no losses. For the Dodgers, trying to make a move in the Western Division by winning 4 in a row. They're 7 games back of the division-leading Arizona Diamondbacks, and this is their last shot before a 4-game series with Philadelphia. We'll get to the ball game and a whole lot more coming up right after this. Your Southern California Hyundai dealers. Through July 7th, get a great deal on a new Elantra at Hyundai's 4th of July sales event. By AT&T UVerse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PIC-ATT. And by Jack in the Box. Try Jack's Big Stack Burger. 2 jumbo beef patties stacked with onion rings, cheese, and pickles.
Yasiel Puig might be getting all the headlines right now, but Hanley Ramirez is the hottest of all the Dodgers. An 8-game hitting streak in which he's gone 467 with 4 dingers and 10 RBIs. Hanley Ramirez in the cleanup spot tonight, and of course also playing shortstop. Jim Watson, Steve Lyons in center field. What's the impact this guy's had since he's been back?
Well, you know, you can't say enough about what he means in this lineup for a bunch of reasons. Number one, when you're a great player, it's easy to impress the fans. You know, we see, hey, that guy's really good. He has a lot of fun impressing other players. And look at the guys in the lineup that he has a chance to impress. Guys like Kemp and Agon. Ethier now swinging the bat a lot better. Ethier hasn't had a great season up until this point. Hanley Ramirez will give him better opportunities now to start playing better baseball. He's hitting 340 over his last 17 games. Hanley's having fun being a great player.
You mentioned Matt Kemp. Matt Kemp not in the lineup today. A scheduled day off for Matt Kemp. Ethier in center field. Good idea to keep Kemp out?
Absolutely. You've got to give him time off. He's blown that hamstring, or one on each side 3 times in the last year. You got to have him in the lineup, and the way to do that is to give him some days off.
Dodgers have won the first 2 against San Francisco. They go for the sweep, and Clayton Kershaw goes to the mound against Tim Lincecum. Those 2 dudes have combined for 3 Cy Youngs. Kershaw needs some run support.
To you wherever you may be. Welcome to Dodger Stadium on a gorgeous summer's evening as the Dodgers and the Giants meet for the 9th time this year. Bruce Bochy's club came in here having won 5 of 6, but the Dodgers have turned it around to sweep the first 2. Let's take a look at Bruce's batting order, and it's Andres Torres in left field, Marco Scutaro at second base, Buster Posey playing first base, Hunter Pence in right field, Pablo Sandoval at third. Juan Perez is in center field. Hector Sanchez is the catcher. Brandon Crawford the shortstop. Tim Lincecum the pitcher. On the mound for the Dodgers, their ace Clayton Kershaw. Despite the fact a 5-5 record, a brilliant earned run average of 2. In his last 18 starts, he's been absolutely brilliant against the Giants. An earned run average of 1.28. And going head-to-head with Tim Lincecum, he has 4 victories and no losses. He is 9-4 in his career against the Giants. How tough have the Giants and Dodgers played each other? Well, if you go back to the year 2000, the Dodgers hold an edge. 122 wins to the Giants 120. In fact, The two clubs have won 60 games apiece in San Francisco. They had won 60 games apiece here in Los Angeles before the Dodgers won the first two games of the series. So it'll be Andres Torres, followed by Marco Scutaro, and then Buster Posey. The Giants struggling a bit, 3.5 back. They've lost 3 straight, 8 of 11. However, both the Giants and Dodgers get the good news that Washington defeated Arizona 3-2. Into the windup is Kershaw, and the first pitch is swung on, fouled away, and the count 0-1. So Andres Torres playing left field throughout the series, switch hitter, batting right-handed. And Kershaw, both feet on the rubber, looks down to A.J. Ellis, and away we go. Strike one pitch on the way is swung on and fouled off, and the count 0-2. It is a beautiful evening and relief from the midday heat. The temperature at the start of the game, 79 degrees, and the right field pavilion awash in sunlight, as well as all of the decks down the right field line, and the palm trees barely stirring with the zephyr. So 0-2 the count to Torres. Hitting right-handed, he looks at a change way off the plate, and the count 1-2. Andres Torres hitting .269, 2 home runs, 18 runs batted in. Now the 1-2 pitch on the way. Kershaw's fastball is whacked foul down the left field line. So Torres sitting on a 93-mile-an-hour fastball and pulled it too much. So Clayton trying to rub a wrinkle in a new ball. As far as the Giants are concerned, they have struggled on the road against left-handers. They are 3-7. Kershaw ready to pitch, then thinks better of it. Backs off the rubber. The outfield just about straight away on Torres. And the 1-2 pitch on the way is taken on the outside corner. Strike 3 called. So Kershaw begins the game with a strikeout. Here are the Dodgers with the leather behind him. Gonzalez and Ellis, Ramirez and Uribe. Schumacher in left. Andre Ethier is in center. Yasiel Puig is in right. A.J. Ellis behind the plate. Clayton in the hill. And the batter now is Marco Scutaro, as Puig, who went from left field to right field, back in a 4 permitted position. And the first pitch in for a strike to Scutaro. Andre Ethier is playing center tonight. Last night, Matt Kemp made that great catch of the long fly ball hit by Scutaro. That was in the 9th inning with 2 on and 2 out. Scutaro takes another strike. Scutaro last night hit a fly ball to center, a fly ball to right, a fly ball to left. Then he grounded to third. And then with Kemp playing shallow, remember the tying run was at second base. He hit it over Kemp's head, and Matt made the catch. Ground ball to short. Nice big hops to Ramirez, who double clutches and then throws him out. And just like that, 2 down in the first inning. So Kershaw now ready to work on Buster Posey. Buster Posey is playing first base tonight. One reason, normally you expect to see the big 6'5" left-hand hitting Brandon Belt. But Belt does not go against Kershaw anymore. Brandon Belt got his first major league hit. It was a single against Kershaw. The pitch to Posey is swung on and flared into right field for a base hit. Anyway, to conclude the thought, Belt had a base hit, his first against Kershaw. Since that base hit, Belt is 2 for 26 with 13 strikeouts. So he is a spectator tonight. Good ball player, but had a lot of trouble against Kershaw. Now Hunter Pence. Hunter Pence missed a motion. Never stops moving. Pence last night had 2 hits. Good, solid right fielder, right-hand batter. Chokes up on the bat a little bit. That's news. Kershaw ready and deals. Fastball is lifted into right field and shallow. Going over and looking for it is Puig to make the catch, and that's that. As DeMarc Ellis was almost out there with him. No run, 1 hit, a man left. And now it's time for Tim Lincecum to go to the mound. No score.
He had a base hit, but they left him. We'll take a look now at Mattingly's card. And the names there on: Mark Ellis leading at second base, Yasiel Puig in right field, Adrian Gonzalez at first base, Hanley Ramirez hits cleanup at short, Andre Ethier back in center field tonight as Matt Kemp is off. A.J. Ellis will be catching Clayton Kershaw. Juan Uribe is at third base, Skip Schumacher batting eighth in left field, and Clayton Kershaw the pitcher. On the mound for the Giants, Tim Lincecum. Lincecum, 29 years old with a record of 4-7. His earned run average is high, 4.5. And actually, if you go back to last year, the beginning of the season, his earned run average is almost 5. It's 4.96. He's okay against the Dodgers, 8-5. He's beaten them once this year. But he is not the pitcher that we saw back in 2008 and 9 when he won the Cy Young Award. So we'll see how he goes tonight. And Mark Ellis opens it up and takes a strike. And the count 0-1. Ellis hitting .272, 4 home runs, 20 runs batted in. Had a big home run last night with a man aboard. Lincecum rocks and turns and comes right back. And a good pitch swung on and missed at 93. 0-2 the count. What's going on with Lincecum? Well, he's lost 4 games on the road. And he has lost after a Giant loss. He's no longer the stopper. Here's the strike 2 pitch, high, ball 1. He's had 6 losses following a Giant loss. He's walked a lot of people. In fact, you could say he's very wild. And if the Dodgers get any runners on base, they expect to run. The league is 12 for 12 in stolen bases against Lincecum. Timmy delivers. It is swung on and missed. And down goes Ellis. So 1 away here in the first inning. And the batter now will and delivers. Fastball is low, ball 1. Puig getting .420, 7 home runs, 14 runs batted in. Giants shut him down last night. He had 1 ball really hard. The 1-0 pitch is pulled just fair inside third and down the line. And there goes Puig into second with a stand-up double. So Puig really turned on one, hit it right over the bag. There was no chance that Sandoval would get to it. The Puig doubles, hits the chalk, and goes on down the line. Boy, Yasiel his 4th double. And the Dodgers now with a runner in scoring position, and Gonzalez and Ramirez trying to pick him up. Adrian Gonzalez hitting .296. 10 home runs, 47 runs batted in. So Puig taking his lead. Crawford directly behind him with a left-hand batter. And the first thing Lincecum does is turn to take a look out there. Puig has been picked off once when he committed at first base. Another thing different for Tim Lincecum as he works Gonzalez and misses outside, ball 1. He is not getting 2 strikes on the hitters. So meanwhile, Dave Righetti, his pitching coach, watching him anxiously, I'm sure. The 1-0 pitch on the way, and that's taken low, so he's behind 2-0. In charting Lincecum's work, he has a lot of trouble in the first 25 pitches of a game, and that's been a dramatic change for his salad years in 08 and 9. Here's the 2-0 pitch to Gonzalez, swung on, fouled away. To give you an idea, the batting average now on the first 25 pitches against Lincecum is .280. Back in 2008, it was .197. In 2009, It was 149. 2-1 the count to Adrian. Lincecum set, comes to the plate, swung on, and a high fly ball to deep center field. Juan Perez on the track makes the catch. Puig will tag up on his way to third, and he's in there standing up. That was cutting it close. In fact, if we look at the area between the third base coaching box and the bag at third, Lincecum was backing up, but he was not really backing up. He was in front of the coaching box, and I'm not sure if Wallach could even give Puig a sign. Take another look. Here's the catch, and now Perez cranks it up. Good, strong throw. Puig is there, and you can see Wallach is separated from third base by the pitcher, Tim Lincecum. Well, it was close, and Puig is there. And with 2 out now, Hanley Ramirez, and Hanley takes off the plate, ball 1. Hanley with an 8-game hitting streak, up there now with a chance to pick up a run. Lincecum and Ramirez. Hanley's just hitting .214. He has 3 hits and a home run against Lincecum. So with the 8-game hitting streak, Lincecum set at the belt, pitching to Ramirez, and the 1-0 pitch is high and inside, ball 2. 2-0. So Hanley, who has been red hot, his home run last night hit the foul pole and caromed way off into the crowd, but it was crushed. 2 balls and no strikes to count. No score, bottom of the first. Puig down the line from third. Ramirez, big swing and a miss, and the count 2-1. In looking at Lincecum's numbers, he does have 3 wild pitches. So we're in the bottom of the first inning, no score. Posey single, but that's all in the top of the first. Puig has doubled and is now at third with 2 out. No score. Puig slowly coming down, short distance from the bag. Now the 2-1 pitch on the way to Hanley Ramirez. That's taken low, ball 3. On deck, Andre Ethier. So Ramirez has had trouble. Let's see about Andre Ethier. Ethier hitting .261, and he has 2 home runs against Lincecum in the past. 3-1 the count to Hanley Ramirez. Lincecum set, ready, right-handed deals low and inside at Ramirez's feet for ball 4. So the Dodgers now have runners at first and second with 2 out. Dodgers at home against left-handers are 11-6. And of course they're putting a 4-game winning streak on the line tonight. Their longest streak since they had 6 in a row late September, early October last year. Last time that the Dodgers swept the Giants here at Dodger Stadium, 2009. Last year the Dodgers swept 3 from the Giants at AT&T Park. So Matt Kemp, with all of his passion and fervor last night, sits out tonight. And Andre Ethier waits. Lincecum out of his stretch. Daddy delivers low, ball 1. 1-0. Giants trying to get well. They had a losing homestand, and just like the Dodgers, they have struggled on the road. They are 14-24 on the road. The Dodgers are 13-22. The next one is swung on and missed, and the count 1-1. Dodgers, of course, have the 4 games with the Philadelphia Phillies starting tomorrow night. And then Mattingly and company will go on out to Colorado, San Francisco, and Arizona, which is a fine time in the race to go to the whip and make a move. 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Lincecum set. Tim ready. Here he comes. Swung on. Little topper foul. And Ethier will come back and try it again. We've talked about it before, but he is such an interesting pitcher. The normal stride from a pitcher to home plate is about close to 80%. So let's say you're 6 feet tall, your stride would be about 4 feet 8 inches. Lincecum is 6 feet tall. His stride is 7.5 feet. That's about 129%, which you want to talk about being a standout compared to all of the other pitchers. So it's a remarkable delivery. Perhaps he'll cut the stride down a little with runners at first and third. But boy, when the bases are empty, he really takes a giant step towards home plate. Here's the 1-2 pitch coming up. There goes the runner on a ground ball to short. The only play by Crawford is to first in time, and that will be that. So no runs, 1 hit, 2 left, and at the end of an inning, no score. Reminder, Saturday, Dodgers and Phils, 7:10. First 40,000 in attendance receive a set of Dodger earbuds, compliments of T-Mobile. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Pablo Sandoval, followed by Juan Perez, and then Hector Sanchez. Second inning, no score. Lincecum made 19 pitches in the first inning. Kershaw ready, delivers, and gets it low. 1 ball and no strikes. You know, during the course of the game, we will give you the pitch count. He's now made 20 pitches, you know, that kind of stuff. The 1-0 pitch is punched wide at first. Gonzalez will take it to the bag, and just like that, Sandoval is done. 1 away. There was a game. It was not the Giants and Dodgers. It was the Giants and the Milwaukee Braves. The pitchers in the game were Juan Marichal for San Francisco and Warren Spahn for the Milwaukee Braves. The game went 16 innings. Okay. Here's the first pitch now to Juan Perez. He takes a strike. Both Juan Marichal and Warren Spahn pitched the entire 16-inning game. Here's the strike 1 pitch on the way. Perez swings, doesn't get it, 0-2. Marichal made 227 pitches in that game. Warren Spahn, who was 43 years old, made 214 pitches. Strike 2 pitch on the way. Perez takes on a check swing, no swing, and a 1-2 count. In the course of the game, Alvin Dark, who was then the Giant manager, kept begging Marichal, please, Juan, come out of the game. If I leave you out there and you get hurt, I'm going to get fired. And Marichal pointed across to the Braves and said, I'm pitching as long as that 43-year-old is out on the mound. And so Spahn and Marichal pitched 16. The 1-2 pitch lifted to right center. Ethier coming over with Puig, and Puig makes the running catch, and we have 2 down. Well, in the bottom of the 16th inning at Candlestick, a weary Juan Marichal said to Willie Mays, "Willie, I'm about done. You've got to win the game for me now." Now, Mays was 0 for 5 against Spahn, who had a great screwball. And the first pitch to Mays, a screwball, and Willie hit it out. Home run. Giants win 1-0. But can you imagine? Spahn 214 pitches, Marichal 227. It was a different game with different players. The first pitch is a little low to Hector Sanchez. 1 ball and no strikes. We're in the top of the second inning. No score in the ball game. Beautiful evening. Kershaw into the windup. Clayton back. Works it low. And the count now 2 balls and no strikes. Hector Sanchez involved in a game-winning play recently at home during the stand. The 2-0 pitch on the way, taken strike on the outside part of the plate. 2-1 to Hector. So he catches and Buster Posey plays first. Now the 2-1 pitch, swung on and missed. 2-2. Hector's from Venezuela, from Maracay. Built like a catcher, 5'11", 225. He'll be 24 in November. Swings at a pitch. It's in the dirt. Scooped out by Ellis. The out recorded at first. And that's that. 2 strikeouts for Kershaw as he walks off. And at the end of an inning and a half, no score. This July, baseball's greatest stars gather for the biggest event of the summer, the Midsummer Classic. The All-Star Game returns to New York. It'll be live from New York, July 16th, only on Fox. Meanwhile, bottom of the second inning, A.J. Ellis, who had the night off last night, he's hit safely in 5 of 7 games against the Giants. He has a .320 batting average against San Francisco, and in his career, hitting .341 against them. And A.J. takes the pitch low. 1 ball and no strikes. A.J. Ellis, however, just 2 for 11 against Tim Lincecum. .248 for the year. Shies away from a pitch up and in. 2 balls and no strikes. Tim Lincecum, and people talked about it during the post play last year, 2012. Suddenly he was a reliever, and he was brilliant. In 13 innings, he allowed 1 run and struck out 17. So they keep saying the bullpen is in his future, but he says not yet. Well, he runs the count 2-1 to A.J. Ellis. Juan Uribe on deck. Lincecum ready. Back he comes. Good fastball at the knees. I'll tell you, good fastballs at this time of night at 7:30. Brilliant blue sky, sun-washed mountains at sunset time. Lights are on, but they really don't take effect. 2-2 the count. Lincecum works from the first base side of the rubber. Back he comes, and it's fouled away. He was up and in, off speed. And Ellis checking with the plate umpire, Vic Carapazzo, about, I don't know whether I should have swung at that. It was a borderline pitch with 2 strikes on him. He has 2-2. Lincecum works quickly, comes right back with a good overhand breaking ball for strike 3 called. So Lincecum breaks off a dandy. That's his second strikeout. And the batter now will be Juan Uribe. Juan Uribe pretty much has become the Dodger third baseman. He comes out of there once in a while for a change. For instance, he did not start last night. Nick Punto did. But by and large, he's now been the Dodger third baseman as he has hit his way back. Hitting .268, 3 home runs, 16 RBIs, and a member of the Giants when they won the World Series in 2010. His biggest year was his last year with the Giants when he had 24 home runs. This year he has 3. Uribe waiting. Lincecum delivers. Line drive into left center for a base hit. Over to cut it off is Torres. And Uribe holds on. He is a totally different hitter than he had been for the last 2 years. If you ask about it, the first thing they say is he is far more patient. Well, he got a good fastball right out over the plate, and he knew what to do with it. So Uribe, a 1-out single. That would be the Dodgers' second hit. And the batter will be Skip Schumacher, playing left field. Schumacher, left-hand batter, hitting .259. 15 runs batted in. Lincecum deals low and away. Ball 1. See about Schumacher. He's 7 for 25. That's a .280 batting average with a home run against Lincecum. 1 ball and no strikes. Tim delivers. Breaking ball drops in nicely. And the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Lincecum is high in the big leagues. In 2008, he was 18-5. Right-hander reading Sanchez. Takes a long look. He's not ready. And so Schumacher says, I'm too tired of waiting, and he backs out. Now Skip back up. Here comes Lincecum, and the pitch is a little low. So 2-1 the count. Lincecum basically fastball, curve, change. He'll throw a knuckleball, but very, very rarely. There goes the runner, Uribe. A little ground ball to first. The out recorded there. And down to second goes Uribe. So Schumacher grounds out. Dodgers now for the second inning have a runner at second with 2 out. And Clayton Kershaw coming up. Certainly one of the more dramatic home runs we've seen all year was Clayton Kershaw's home run, remember, against the Giants over the center field fence. And the Dodgers won the game 1-0. He has that 1 home run, 3 RBIs, hitting .206. So with 2 out, he checks in against Lincecum. Tim ready, here he comes, and he comes with a breaking ball for a strike, and the count 0-1. Uribe at second, 2 out, second inning, no score. Dodgers trying to sweep the Giants and extend a winning streak to 5. No balls, 1 strike. Lincecum on and off the rubber. I would assume most of the time Lincecum works with Posey, so it's a little different with Hector Sanchez. Strike 1, pitch swung on, ground ball to the hole at short, backhanded by Crawford, who throws him out. When that left the bat, looked like he had a chance. So a nice play by Crawford. No runs ahead, a man left. And at the end of 2, no score. Sunday, the Dodgers and Phillies at 1:10, and the first 15,000 ticketed kids 14 and under in attendance take home a kids performance shirt, compliments of Coca-Cola. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotion. Lincecum, through 2 innings, has made 33 pitches. Kershaw 21, and into the third we go. Brandon Crawford, Tim Lincecum, and then the top of the order, Andres Torres. So Brandon, left-hand batter, checking in. Good shortstop, solid hitter. He has struggled a little bit in this series, however. Last night he finished up with 2 base hits to right field. Hitting .283. The pride of UCLA, who certainly had to be delighted when UCLA won the College World Series. He takes a strike, and the count 0-1. Clayton Kershaw pitching to the left-hand hitting shortstop. Crawford is 1 for 11 against him. Fastball is just off the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike to Brandon Crawford. Now the 1-1 pitch on the way. Crawford swings right through it. A 94-mile-an-hour fastball, and the count 1-2. Crawford over the last 8 games has been struggling. 6 for 30. So those 2 hits he had last night really had to pep him up a little bit. He fouls the next pitch back. So he's still there, 1-2. Third inning, no score, no runs, 1 hit for the Giants, no runs, 2 hits for the Dodgers. Tim Lincecum standing on deck. Clayton into the windup, and his 1-2 pitch on the way. A nubber back to the mound. Kershaw plenty of time and throws him out. So 1 away. Where do you put Clayton Kershaw against the Giants? Well, unbelievable earned run average, 18 starts, 19 games, an ERA of 1.28. Don Wilson, who pitched for the Houston Astros, 2.2, and then of course Jim Bunning with the Phillies, 2.29. And talking about the Phillies, they'll be here tomorrow night. So 1 away. Lincecum shows bunt, takes a strike, and the count 0-1. Now the strike 1 pitch on the way. Fastball swung on and missed. Good swing. Lincecum certainly didn't get cheated. No balls and 2 strikes the count. Kershaw ready, right back, fastball at the knees. See you later. 3rd strikeout for Clayton. And with 2 out in the 3rd inning, Andres Torres coming up. Got some great pitchers involved against the Giants over the years. Robin Roberts had a career earned run average of 2.77 against the Giants. Then Lingle Mungo, who pitched for the Dodgers way back in the 30s. Pitch inside to Torres, ball 1. Mungo 2.68. But to look at an ERA of 1.28 just takes your breath away. The 1-0 pitch on the way. Torres takes in the dirt. Two balls and no strikes the count. 2 out, top of the 3rd, no score. One of the reasons that the Giants have been struggling, same reason why the Dodgers struggled for so long. All of a sudden, they're not hitting with runners in scoring position. The 2-0 pitch on the way, swung on, fouled away. In the last 6 games, the Giants are hitting 170 with runners in scoring position, and the Dodgers certainly know how that feels. 2-1 to Andres Torres with Marco Scutaro on deck. And the 2-1 pitch, fastball lifted to shallow left. Going out is Hanley Ramirez to make the catch for the out. So down go the Giants in the 3rd, and at the end of 2.5, no score. Providing 0 so far as we go to the bottom of the 3rd. Dodgers will have the top of the order. That means Mark Ellis, then Puig and Gonzalez. Kershaw in his 3 innings has not had to work hard. A total of only 33 pitches. Lincecum already made 33 in the first 2 innings. All right, bottom of the 3rd, no score. Mark Ellis swings, fouls it away, off to the right, out of play. 0-1 to Mark. Struck out in the 1st inning. Last night had the big 2-run home run in the 3rd, and he also had a base hit in the 7th. Ellis batting .270, 4 home runs, 20 runs batted in, and takes off the plate 1 ball and 1 strike. Tim Lincecum out of Bellevue, Washington, lives in Renton, Washington. The next pitch over the top, and it drops in nicely for a strike. And the count 1-2. He's an even 6, and he might be 165 pounds, maybe. The 1-2 pitch on the way, a one hopper into left field for a base hit. So Mark Ellis singles into left, and here comes Puig, followed by Gonzalez and Ramirez. Puig pulled one right over third base and down the line for a double. His average at .427. Pablo Sandoval is a fine third baseman, but he couldn't move. There was no chance that he could get to the bag. So we'll see now if Lincecum tries to pitch him away, and of course Puig goes away very well, unless he's chasing sliders. Throw to first. Mark Ellis back on a high throw. Nice save by Posey. Mark Ellis doesn't do a lot of running, but he is 3 for 3 as Puig waits and Lincecum reads Sanchez. Tim hands together at the belt, looks over at Ellis. Now the pitch to Puig, big swing and a miss. 0-1 to count. Puig looks down to Tim Wallach to see if there might be a sign. He's put up amazing numbers, hasn't he? 7 home runs, 14 RBIs, 4 doubles. The strike one pitch on the way. Puig takes low. 1-1 to count. He is big. In fact, it's amazing to realize just how big he is when you stand next to him and then see how fast he is. 6'3", about 240, and it's a chiseled 240. Lincecum ready. Another look over at Mark Ellis. Puig backs away, but this time the pitch stays in. 2-1 the count. Puig again looking at Wallach. 2-1 for a lot of hitters makes you think of hit and run, but with Puig, he has struck out 18 times. And time. All right, Puig back up. Mark Ellis off the bag, nobody out. Puig swings, doesn't get it. Boy, he doesn't take an easy swing. He swings as hard as he can on every pitch. He coils up. 2-2. Ellis a quiet lead at first, nobody out. Remember, we told you the runners are 12 for 12 against Lincecum, and the next pitch is low, and he's gone 3-2. Now it's a question: do you run Mark Ellis, and Bruce Bochy hollering out to plate umpire Vic Carapazzo, muttering. Carapazzo shakes his head as if to say, shame on you, that was a good pitch. 3-2. Here comes Lincecum, and it is swung on. A fly ball into shallow right center. Coming over is Hunter Pence to make the catch. Holding on at first is Mark Ellis, and Puig never let go of the bat. He was running all the way to first base, holding the bat. So you talk about fighting your way on. Little fly ball to right field, one away. Now the batter will be Adrian Gonzalez, who flied to center in the first inning. Adrian's fly ball was deep enough at the time to advance Puig from second to third. Adrian checking in. Lincecum has given him a bad time, but of course that's been the story for years. And the pitch swung on and foul back. We were talking earlier, I don't expect Mark Ellis to do a lot of running, but he is 3 for 3. For Lincecum, he is on his way to having allowed at least 20 stolen bases for the 6th consecutive season. The next pitch to Gonzalez, a towering fly ball, slicing foul down the left field line and back into the stand. In 2007, base runners against Lincecum, 10 out of 12. In 08, 20 out of 23. In 09, 20 out of 25. In 2010, 27 out of 30. In 2011, 23 out of 37. Last year, 25 out of 27. Here's the strike two pitch. Adrian swings, and he's going to hit one into left field for a base hit. Mark Ellis will stop at second base. So for the Dodgers, 2 on, 1 out, and Hanley Ramirez coming up. This year, as we told you, base stealers are 12-4-12. So if you put it all together against Tim Lincecum in his career, the base runners have a success rate of 83%. And what's really dazzling, he's in his 7th year. He has only picked off 3 runners. That's all. So 2 on, 1 out, no score. Ramirez walked in the first inning. Dodgers trying to get Lincecum here in the 3rd. No score. Tim set at the belt. Right-handed deals. Fastball line to center. Base hit. Rounding 3rd is Mark Ellis. The throw to the plate is cut off. So they have Adrian Gonzalez in a rundown. He'll be tagged out by Scudero. And Ramirez holds at first. And when the dust settles, the Dodgers lead 1-0. So Ramirez, a line drive single. He has now hit safely in 9 in a row as he cashes in Mark Ellis. Hanley Ramirez driving in the run, and then Adrian Gonzalez rounding second and being nailed in the rundown. 1-0 Dodgers, 3rd inning. The Dodgers 1 run, 5 hits, and the Giants no runs, 1 hit. So Gonzalez, who set it up with a base hit, is caught between 2nd and 3rd. Mark Ellis scores on the hit, and the Dodgers take the lead. Here's Ethier, who grounded to short. Throw to first. Hanley Ramirez back on the bag. Ramirez now has 14 runs batted in. 1 for 1 in stolen bases. Held on by Buster Posey. Lincecum set right at the belt. Right-handed delivers. Fastball high and away. Ball 1. Lincecum coming into the game with an earned run average of 4.5 as opposed to Kershaw, an ERA of 2. Kershaw resting on the bench as Ethier takes a strike. 1-1 the count. Clayton has made 33 pitches in 3 innings, so that's pretty cheap. Just 11 pitches an inning. 47 pitches made, 49 exactly, by Lincecum. Pitch in the dirt. Nice save by Hector Sanchez. Boy, he's gone 2-1 on the house. And he is 2-1 to Andre Ethier. Ramirez and Ethier taking a look at Wallach. Waiting on deck, A.J. Ellis. 1-0 Dodgers, 3rd inning. The 2-1 pitch coming up. Ethier swings right through it, and the count 2-2. Breaking ball down. Final game of the 3-game series, but it is only the 9th of all the games scheduled, so the Giants and Dodgers still have half a number to go. 2-2 pitch is instead a throw to first, and Ramirez back on the bag. 1 run, 5 hits for the Dodgers. 1 run, no runs, 1 hit for the Giants. Mark Ellis single, came around to score. There goes Ramirez, and the pitch is fouled away. So they were running Hanley on a 2-2 count, and Ethier fouled it off. Mattingly holding his hands down as if they take your time, both to Ramirez and Ethier. 2-2 the count. A 2-strike count. Lincecum has been hurt. This time he's almost in the dirt, and Ethier chases it and strikes out. But the Dodgers get 3 hits in the inning, get a run, and at the end of 3, lead 1-0. Dodgers leading, the tying run at second, a go-ahead run at first. Marco Scutaro with 2 home runs is the hitter with 2 out. Kemp is playing shallow center. If he gets a base hit, he might throw the runner out at the plate. Instead, it's hit over his head, and he twists and makes the catch, and then has to let out all of the adrenaline when he bangs the wall. Well, you see, Paco Rodriguez almost came out of his uniform, and the Dodgers hung on and won the game 6-5. And the very same Scutaro at the plate right now, who grounded to short in the first inning. Boy, he really gave that ball a drive, and Kemp was able to catch up. 2-0 the count to Marco Scutaro. He is a Mr. Contact hitter, batting .328 in the playoffs. You remember he was the MVP in the league championship series. The biggest puzzle, you look at Scutaro and you wonder how in the world Colorado ever let him go. I mean, what did they see about him that they let him go? He's just a terrific player. Boschi's thrilled to have him. 3-0 pitch in there. 3-1 to count. Scutaro, when he swings the bat, 94% of the time, he's going to hit the ball. 3-1 pitch. He takes ball 4. So the Giants get their second base runner. They had a 2-out single by Posey. Now the leadoff man walks. Buster Posey, the heart and soul of the Giants. The 5th catcher to be named National League MVP. And he has joined Gabby Hartnett, Ernie Lombardi, Roy Campanella, and Johnny Bench. Campanella, of course, a Dodger from many years, a beloved figure in Brooklyn. Ball 1 to Buster. Single right field in the first inning. Last night had a home run and a walk. And in the game before, you may remember, he hit one off the scoreboard. Puig banged his head against the scoreboard, and Posey had himself a double. Originally they charged error, but then they changed it. 2-0 the count to Buster Posey. So Kershaw huddling with his buddy AJ, and that'll give us a chance to talk about why Posey is so valuable. He has 13 hits in late and close situations. And in this series, Posey had that home run in the middle of the game, and then he had that big double in the 7th inning. Two balls and no strikes, the count to Buster. Fastball in there. Posey in college at Florida State was a shortstop. The coach was so impressed with him as a natural leader, he felt he would do better behind the plate. And of course, you may remember he had that tremendous collision at home plate. So he plays first every now and then and drives one to left. Back goes Schumacher and watches it go into the seats. Buster Posey, it's his 2nd home run in the series. And for Posey, his 10th home run. He has 45 runs batted in, and the Giants take a 2-1 lead. So Posey does what he does so well. He lifts the Giants up. Got a pitch, looked like a off-speed pitch that didn't have much break on it. And Posey hits a 2-run home run, and the Giants turn it around to lead 2-1. Now the batter is Hunter Pence, and he takes a strike, and the count 0-1. So Posey going about his work as a first baseman tonight and hits a big home run. In for a strike. Another thing about the Giants so far going into the game, the Giants have not held a lead in the last 27 innings. And if they don't score first, they've had a bad time. I mean, if they score first, they're 24-12. But tonight, the Dodgers scored first, and they're 14-27. So the numbers say the Giants are still struggling, but they are out in front, led, of course, by Posey. Boshi watching now as Pence checks in. He flied to right. 2-2. For Clayton Kershaw, as you can imagine, he doesn't give up a lot of home runs. That would be number 7. 2-2 breaking ball hit in the air to left center. Ethier is there. 1 out in the 4th inning, and Pablo Sandoval coming up.
Pablo Sandoval.
Looking at Clayton Kershaw and Posey. Posey was hitting 184 against him and flied single to right in the 1st inning, then homers. So he now is 9 for 40 against Kershaw. And ball 1 to Pablo Sandoval. Pablo, good hitter from either side of the plate. Power, especially as a left-handed batter. Ground ball to short, picked nicely by Ramirez. It took a while before he throws it. 2 down. You watch Ramirez on that play, you think he was going to throw from deep center field. But I guess he had the luxury of knowing that Pablo Sandoval is not about to beat the throw to first. But it did take him a while to get rid of the ball. He does that a lot. 2 down, Juan Perez. Perez came up in a rather big at bat in the 9th inning last night. Tried to bunt, couldn't do it. Wound up just a fly ball to center. Little roller wide to third. Uribe sidearms it to first. That's that. But that's 2 runs. A walk to Scutaro and the home run by Posey. And the Giants lead the Dodgers 2-1.
Dodger Baseball on Prime Ticket is brought to you by your Southern California Kia retailers. Visit mysocalkia.com. By AT&T, rethink possible. And by El Pollo Loco, crazy you can taste. 2-1 in favor of San Francisco. Bottom of the fourth inning. A.J. Ellis followed by Juan Uribe and then Skip Schumacher. So Clayton Kershaw had 6 career shutouts, 3 against the Giants, but not tonight as Posey hits it out. 0-1 to count. A.J. struck out in the second inning. Clayton down 2-1, and Lincecum ready to come right back. Grounded at third. Oh, nice pick. Sandoval, low throw, however, and it gets by Posey. So Sandoval, who made a good short hop of a hard hit ball, throws it in the dirt. That would be Pablo's 9th error. So the Dodgers get the tying run aboard. There's the good pick. And then wound up. You know what he might have done? I don't say he did, but he might have aimed. And the players tell you, it is so natural to just pick the ball up and throw. If you aim, you're liable to get in trouble. And I think that's what happened. He had the ball in so much time, and he aimed, trying to make it easy for Posey. And instead, he made it difficult for him. So here's Uribe. 1 ball and no strikes to Juan. Yeah, the career year for him, and of course a World Series for the Giants. When Uribe had those 24 home runs, 85 runs batted in, Dodgers were looking for somebody with power. They went through the market, and he was really the one man, so they went out and got him. And they didn't get any power. Now he's playing very well, but no power. In the dirt, 2-1 to count to Juan Uribe. Nice save by Hector Sanchez. Well, Uribe backs away. Lincecum waiting for him. Two and 1 to count. Wanted to swing, decided not to, and it's a 2-ball, 2-strike count. You can imagine the Dodger disappointment. In 2 years with the Giants, Uribe had 40 home runs. With the Dodgers, he had 4 2 years ago. He had 2 last year. So from 40 to 6, big shock. And ground ball to the hole. Nice plug for Scutaro. They get 1. They get 2. So Uribe hits into the double play. 4-6-3. 2 down in the fourth inning. The batter will be Schumacher. And we'll point out the fact 4 left on this homestand with the Phillies starting tomorrow night through Sunday. Dodgers then leave, go to Colorado, San Francisco, and Arizona. That might be the most important stretch of certainly the first half. Colorado, San Francisco, Arizona, and Colorado again. In for a strike to Schumacher. Dodgers, of course, their biggest problem this year, and they've had plenty. They can't win in the Western Division. Little ground ball to short. Nice hop for Crawford. That'll be that. So no runs, no hits, an error, but nobody left. And at the end it's 4-2-1 Giants.
Do you think Bruce Bochy should select Yasiel Puig to play in the All-Star game? Tweet hashtag Puig All-Star and then either yes or no. We'll give the results during the game. So Puig has drawn so much attention. There are those who feel strongly that because he has captivated the imagination of baseball fans throughout the country, they want him to be seen in the All-Star game. There are others that say, wait a minute, he hasn't earned that privilege, and it's just around the corner. You're not going to send him there after 30-some-odd games. So the debate continues, but we would like to know how you think about it. Hector Sanchez, Brad Crawford, and then Tim Lincecum against Kershaw. High fastball at 91. One ball and no strikes. That's in there. For Sanchez, this is only his 7th start as a catcher, 5 with Lincecum pitching. And that's hit over the bag, knocked down by Uribe. That'll hold it to a single. If Uribe doesn't get his glove on it, that's an easy double. So Sanchez opens up with a single to third. That is the 2nd inning in a row the leadoff man has reached against Kershaw. Good effort by Uribe, but he had a glove full of empty. And it'll just go as a base hit. So here is Crawford hit back to the box, and then Lincecum, who struck out. 2 runs, 3 hits for the Giants, 1 run, 5 hits for the Dodgers. We're in the 5th inning. Fastball strike. Crawford hit back to the box in the 3rd inning. Brandon 0 for 1. That's a little low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Crawford came up twice the other night with the bases loaded, and twice made out, once a double play. So he's been hurting of late. 1 and 2. In fact, Crawford has 1 hit in his last 24 at bats with runners in scoring position. But of course, it happens to all of them. The question is, can you come back? One and 2. And a ground ball hard. Ellis the quick feed to Ramirez, and they get the double play. Four, 6-3, 2 out in the 5th inning. Ground ball to Mark. He just hangs it. And Ramirez with plenty of time. Sanchez couldn't get to him to break it up. So we have 2 down, and Tim Lincecum, who struck out in the 3rd inning, coming up. Starts him with a fastball. Dodgers will have Kershaw followed by Ellis and Puig in the bottom of the 5th. Fouled away off 3rd, well back out of play. 0-2 the count. Lincecum this year has 1 run batted in, 2 hits. One of the hits a triple. Kershaw, going about his business, has made 61 pitches. It's only 8 in this inning. Fastball slapped down the line, slicing foul. 1-2 to Tim Lincecum. Lincecum will be forever remembered as one of the rare pitchers to win Cy Young Award back-to-back. Big curveball. Oh my gosh. That was a big rainbow curve for strike 3. And we're going to the bottom of the 5th, 2-1, San Francisco. The first 50,000 fans in attendance receive a Sandy Koufax bobblehead for their collection, compliments of Mitchell and Ness. And for tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Bottom of the 5th, Kershaw ready, takes a strike, 0-1. Kershaw, Ellis, and Puig in that order against Tim Lincecum. That's another strike. We talked about Lincecum being, he will always be remembered. Only 4 pitchers have won the National League Cy Young Award in back-to-back years. Greg Maddux, believe it or not, did it 4 times. Randy Johnson 4 times. Lincecum twice. And Sandy Koufax twice. 1-2. Fastball lifted to center. Perez right there. 1 away in the 5th. By the way, we are honored because this broadcast is on AFN, the American Forces Network, broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces, serving in 175 countries and aboard ships at sea. They're watching around the world in Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, South Korea, and Japan. Welcome to all of you. We certainly hope you enjoy the ball game, and we are deeply indebted to you for your service. Mark Ellis struck out single, scored the Dodger run. 1 ball and no strikes to Mark. Tim Lincecum holding the Dodgers to 1 run and 5 hits so far. When the Dodgers scored, Lincecum was hurt with 2 strikes on the hitter. Breaking ball strike, 1-1. Mark Ellis got a base hit in the 3rd inning. The count was 1-2. Adrian Gonzalez got a base hit with 1 out. The count was 0-2. And then Hanley Ramirez walked up and hit the first pitch to drive in a run to extend his streak to 9. 1-2. Ellis batting .274. 4 home runs, 20 RBIs. Yasiel Puig on deck. And down he goes. So Ellis strikes out a second time. 2 out in the inning.
Right fielder number 66.
4 strikeouts for Tim Lincecum. And here's Puig, doubled over third base in the first inning and flied to right in the third. Looking at Tim Lincecum's work this year, his high in strikeouts, 9. He did that in San Diego, and he lost the game 2-1. Well, he's leading tonight 2-1. Fastball pulled by the diving Sandoval. Well, there he goes. And Puig's going for 2. He'll be out from me to you. Oh, my goodness. I mean, come on. Bad play with Adrian Gonzalez on deck, and you're down 2-1. 2-1, Giants. All the way to beat the Braves 2-1. That was his 14th complete game that year in 18 starts. Struck out 10. But the numbers that really tell you what kind of a game it was are 208 and 196. When he walked to the mound, he weighed 208. When the game finished, he made 196 on the weight meter. So 12 pounds in the 95-degree heat, but typical of Koufax, another complete game. And with that, on a warm night here, let's go back to this one. I also remember a doubleheader in Houston. That's a strike. 0-1 the count to Andres Torres. Dodgers played a doubleheader in Houston. Don Drysdale pitched one game. Sandy Koufax pitched the other. They each lost about 15 pounds. I remember Drysdale after the game took one of his shoes off, held it in the air, turned it over, and I mean it was as if he was pouring out a bottle of water. Of course, admittedly, a little bit dehydrated. By the time they got a lot of water and a good meal that night, they were okay. 1-2. Again, in those days, if you could stand up, you stayed in. That doubleheader in Houston in the little ballpark, they had 150 cases of heat prostration. It was brutal. Down goes Torres, one away in the 6th. So as we've always said about this game, it's not a young man's game. It's not an old man's game. Look at that curve. It is a strong man's game.
Second baseman.
And they were so much stronger when the starting pitchers worked every 4 days instead of every 5. Here's Scudero, grounded to short and walked. He was aboard when Posey hit the home run. And that's the difference in the game. That's a strike. 0-1. Giants 2 runs, 3 hits as Buster waits on deck. The Dodgers 1 run, 6 hits. Good curve hit down. Oh! Uribe has that getaway. So that means Scudero is aboard on the error, and here comes Posey.
First baseman, number 20.
Sandoval, when he made his error, Sandoval has made 9 errors at third base. Uribe has made his 3rd. Easy play. Those are just the ones you let get away playing every day. So Posey is singled and homered. Big challenge for Kershaw. And first ball hitting. High foul down the line. No play. 0-1. When the Dodgers come up in the bottom of the 6th, after Puig made that poor judgment play, Gonzalez, Ramirez, and Ethier will be coming up. 0-1 the count. Fastball at 92. Final game of the 3-game series. One and 2 the count to Buster Posey. Posey, as we mentioned earlier, means so much to the Giants, and he has done so much and continues to do so. 10 home runs, 45 runs batted in. 1-2. In the dirt, gets behind the umpire, but Ellis is on it. Scudero couldn't really see, so he stayed at first. Posey playing first base tonight. It will be the 6th game that he has played at first. When they played the American League, he had 2 games where he was the DH. He's caught 62. So that's the other thing. He's been a workhorse. 70 of 78 games. 2-2. Fastball popped up. Big league pop fly. Mark Ellis. But the inning is not over because of the error by Uribe. Scudero is at first, and Hunter Pence coming up. Hunter hitting a solid 290. And remember, he is a very, very fine base stealer. With all of his other abilities, he's 13 for 13 in stolen bases. Hunter is the kind of a player who really does well, especially if the ball club is hurting. If they're behind, 37 of his hits have happened when they were down to help them lead the way back. 0-1. Pence, a Texan, born in Arlington, lives in Houston. Big curveball, and that's lifted to straightaway center. Ethier is there. That'll be that. No runs, no hits, an error, a man left. At the end of 5 1/2, it's 2-1 Giants. Your pattern in the sense low scoring tough ball games. In game 1 they struggled 1-1 and the Dodgers got 2 in the 8th inning and won 3-1. Then yesterday it was 2-2 and the Dodgers broke it open with 4 to have an apparent easy win, and the Giants came back and eventually Dodgers won 6-5. So it's another tough game. I'm sure the Dodger veterans have talked to Puig about this is the big leagues. Cruz on one side of him, Uribe on the other. I guess he thought, and he's explaining, I thought I could make it. 2-0 the count to Adrian Gonzalez. Lincecum pitching very, very well. Remember, he came in here, earned run average of 4.5. Fly ball to Perez. So 1 away here in the 6th inning. Hanley Ramirez has walked and singled. He now has a 9-game hitting streak. He's hit safely in the 9. Home run last night, his 4th during the streak, and hitting .371. In fact, he was talking about his hitting prowess, and he said, right now I know I'm swinging the bat as well as I did when I won the batting championship and I was playing in Florida. Strike. 0-1. Lincecum in April was 2-1, an ERA of 3.6, but then in May he really struggled. In May, Lincecum was 1-4 with an earned run average over 6. Chopper to the hole, base hit. So Hanley Ramirez, bidding for a perfect night, has a walk and 2 singles, and the batter is Andre Ethier. In June so far, even though he is 1-2, Lincecum's earned run average is 2.9. Meanwhile, a big bouncer just does elude Crawford. Tying run at first with 1 out. Andre Ethier has grounded to short and struck out. Ethier 5 home runs, 21 runs batted in. He's hitting .250 against right-hand pitching, and he's given up a couple of points, 0 for 2 tonight. Andre Ethier has 2 home runs against Lincecum. Keeping an eye on Ramirez. Questionable whether he would run, coming off the bad leg, the hamstring. He is 1 for 1 in stolen bases. With Posey on the bag holding Ramirez, right side of the infield is wide open. There goes Ramirez. The pitch is dropped by Sanchez. Hanley Ramirez steals it without a play. So a bit of a surprise going on the first pitch, and a good pitch for a catcher to throw. Instead, it just slipped out of his hand like wet soap. So Sanchez mad at himself. So the tying run at second with 1 out. And ball 2. 2-0. Of course, Bruce Bochy was a catcher in his day, so the Giant skipper knows what it's like. He's 8 away from 1,500 victories for Bruce Bochy. 8 to go. Ball 3, and on deck, A.J. Ellis. 2 runs, 3 hits for the Giants. They got it on a walk to Scutaro, the only walk given up by Kershaw, and a home run by Posey. Dodgers had 3 hits by Ellis, Gonzalez, and Ramirez to get their run. Now Ramirez tying run at second, 1 out. 3-0 the count. So they might let Ethier swing 3-0. And he might go if he likes the location. No, 3-1. Ramirez has Brandon Crawford directly behind him, so he has to be very careful taking his lead. Way out in front of an off-speed breaking ball. That was only 75 miles. It took a while to get up there, and Ethier couldn't wait for it. So 3-2. Two runs, 3 hits for the Giants, 1 run, 7 hits for the Dodgers. And Ethier hits it down the left field line, foul. So he's still there, 3-2. Dodgers are hitless only in the 4th inning. They've had at least 1 in all the others. 3-2 to Andre Ethier. Boy, Lincecum taking plenty of time. And that's going to be hit into right field, base hit. Here comes Hanley. Pence doesn't have a play. So he throws into second, and we have a 2-2 tie. So Andre Ethier, base hit to right field. And of course, if you are in the Giant dugout, all they can think of is the fact that Hector Sanchez dropped a good pitch when Ramirez was trying to steal second base. And it's been cashed in. There goes Hanley. And he breezes in. And we have a 2-2 tie. 2 runs, 8 hits for the Dodgers. 2 runs, 3 hits for the Giants. Andre Ethier picks up the RBI. And the batter is A.J. Ellis. For Andre Ethier, his 22nd run batted in.
Catcher number 17, A.J. Ellis.
A.J. Ellis struck out, reached on the error by Pablo Sandoval. A.J. with good numbers in his career against the Giants. Overall, just a .246 batting average. And there goes Ethier, hit and run foul ball. 0-1. So they ran Ramirez on a 1-ball no strike count, and they play hit and run with Ellis on the first pitch. AJ, as we mentioned earlier, this year hitting .320 against the Giants, .341 in his career. So Andre Ethier, who doesn't do any running as far as stolen bases, he's 0 for 2. Both times, I'm sure, busted hit and run plays. There he goes again. Pitch is inside. The throw's going to be on a hop, and the shortstop Crawford couldn't hold on to it. Bad throw by Sanchez. So Crawford tried to short hop it, couldn't make it, and Ethier gets credited with his first stolen base off Crawford's glove. So the Dodgers get 2 breaks here in the inning. Ethier's out if Crawford holds on to it. Hanley Ramirez might have been out had Sanchez made a better throw instead of dropping the ball. So 2-2, now trying to get the lead. And promptly banged down the line in left field. So here comes Ethier to give the Dodgers a lead as A.J. Ellis continues to torment the Giants, and the Dodgers lead 3-2. Dodgers 3 runs on 9 hits. Breaking ball right out over the plate. That was just asking to be hit. So Ellis obliged and then doubles to left. So the big plays in the inning, however, occurred on Dodgers stolen bases. The one by Ramirez and the one by Ethier. Dodgers cash him in, lead 3-2. And here's Uribe and a strike. 3 runs, 9 hits for the Dodgers. Jose Mojarras, the left-hander, begins to throw now in the Giant bullpen. The strike 1 pitch in there. 0-2. There he is, getting ready. 2 runs in, 1 out in the 6th. Lincecum, by the way, due to bat 5th when the Giants hit in the 7th inning. Fastball hit up the middle. Smothered, however, by Scudero. And that saved the run because Ellis had to stop at third. Big play by Marco Scudero as the Dodgers are trying to repeat what they did last night. Last night they had 5 straight hits in the 6th inning. And tonight they have 4 straight hits in the 6th. Might have had a run except for that big play by Marco. So Uribe gets a hit, but not a run batted in. Dodgers now 3 runs on 10 hits against Lincecum. And the batter is Skip Schumacher, 0 for 2. Hit the ball to Posey, and he also grounded to short. Still 1 out. That was the first batter, Gonzalez, who flied to center. Juan Uribe has 1 stolen base, but we've had a couple of stolen bases in the inning from base runners you don't expect to steal. Ramirez and Ethier. Ground foul. 0-1 the count to Skip Schumacher. Schumacher, good numbers against Lincecum as Ethier and Hanley Ramirez cool off. Schumacher came in batting .280 with a home run against Tim Lincecum. In the dirt, nice save by Sanchez. 1-1 the count. When the Giants come up in the 7th, they'll have Sandoval, Perez, and Sanchez. They'll play Schumacher with a short left fielder, and they move Perez over towards left center. So the gap is in right center. In the dirt, gets away to the backstop. Here comes another run. So Ellis comes in on the wild pitch. Uribe goes to second, and the Dodgers lead 4-2. So the pitch in the dirt, Sanchez tried to block it. It went up his right arm and all the way to the backstop. So very easy for A.J. Ellis to come home. It's now a 3-run inning, and it looks like Bruce Bochy has had enough. We'll see. Lincecum has given up 10 hits, 4 runs, gives up the ball, and Tim will leave. We'll be back after this. Three times in the 6th inning, still only 1 out. Gives us a chance to tell you the Red Sox beat Colorado 5-3. Look at that. Shane Victorino. Remember when he was with the Dodgers? Big night. Washington knocked off Arizona. San Diego is leading Philadelphia. But remember, Arizona lost. Colorado loses. The Dodgers have a chance to move up a little bit. They could be 6 out if they can hold on to the win. And here's Schumacher against Jose Mujeres. And ball 1. We talked about it last night as Tim Lincecum made 92 pitches. He was 3-0 in his last 4 starts against the Dodgers. He had some tough luck, especially Sanchez dropping what might have been a good pitch to throw out the runner, Ramirez. Then Ethier's stolen base. And then, of course, the capper, the wild pitch. Mujeres from Caracas, Venezuela. Jose, a look back at Uribe. And that'll do it for Schumacher. And the batter will be Clayton Kershaw.
Dodger pitcher number 22.
So Tim Lincecum went 5 1/3 inning. Charged with 4 runs. Uribe out there at second base is his responsibility. Remember the story about Samson and how Delilah cut his hair? You remember the way Tim Lincecum looked for years with hair down to his shoulders? Now look. Right out of GQ. Maybe that's been his problem. 1 ball and no strikes. Kershaw grounded to short, fly to center. They get a right-hander up, Sandy Rosario, throwing up behind Mujares. Wow. Clayton going after a pitch almost over his head. 1 ball and 1 strike. So Uribe had the single up the middle. Big play for the moment by Scudero to prevent a run. Only the wild pitch followed, and the run came home anyway. That's a strike. 1 and 2. One ball, 2 strikes. He held up. Yeah, no swing. There's another pitch way out of the strike zone. 2-2 the count. We mentioned it last night, especially for those who think, boy, these ball players really have it made. Remember, we told you he is from the worst part, the slums of Caracas. He lost his mother and father by the time he was 10. His brother was murdered. I mean, a terribly heartbroken background. But he comes in, making big league money, and he strikes out Kershaw. Jose Mujares. Meanwhile, Tim Lincecum leaving the arena as the Dodgers lead 4-2. Brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealer. By Time Warner, enjoy all the things you love better. 1-855-WANT-TWC. And by CarMax. Start the search for your next car at CarMax. Beautiful evening in Los Angeles. Always a great time when the Giants and Dodgers get together. Right now, Dodgers leading 4-2. But Buster Posey hit a 2-run home run to get the Giants out in front. Then the Dodgers, almost a repeat of last night. Tonight, 4 straight hits for 3 runs. Hanley Ramirez, again, having a big game, especially with the bat. He's now hitting 9 straight. So it's 4 runs, 10 hits for the Dodgers. 2 runs, 3 hits for the Giants, and it will be Sandoval, Perez, and Sanchez in the 7th inning. Pablo grounded out twice, in fact, 0 for 2, and a strike, 0-1. Pablo hitting .285. Hits a little pop fly down the right field line, slicing foul. 0-2. Sandoval has a lot of reputations as far as a hitter is concerned. He'll swing at the first pitch almost every at bat. He is a bad ball hitter. 2 years ago, he hit for the cycle against Colorado. Against Justin Verlander, who's about as good as there is in the American League. He faced him in the All-Star game and he tripled, and he faced him twice in Game 1 of the World Series and hit 2 home runs. Of course, in the 2012 World Series, he was the MVP simply because he hit for 500. 3 home runs, a double, 4 RBIs in just 16 at-bats. In fact, 3 home run games in the World Series, very rare. Babe Ruth did it twice. Reggie Jackson did it against the Dodgers. Albert Pujols did it, and Pablo Sandoval last year against Detroit. Fastball, and he chased it. Well, Sandoval goes 0 for 3. 6 strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw. Right out there, the bottom dropped out of it. So Sandoval goes 0 for 3. Pablo been pretty quiet. He was 0 for 4 last night, 0 for 7, but he did have 2 hits in the first game. So he's 2 for 11 in the series. Check swing, no swing, says Kerwin Danley. Perez flied to right, grounded to third, 0 for 2. The Giants really missed Angel Pagan. And boy, I tell you, the Dodgers don't miss him at all, because Angel Pagan, game in and game out, gave the Dodgers a terrible time. But he had a hamstring and he had surgery, so he's going to be out for a while. That's a roller to short. Hanley. 2 down. Giants had a 2-out single by Posey in the first inning. They had the home run by Posey, and they had the little dribbler base hit by Sanchez. And that's it. Sanchez struck out and got the infield single. And pops the first pitch up out there in center. Andre Ethier. So the Giants go very quietly in the 7th. Clayton walks off with the Dodgers leading 4-2. difference in hits. 10 hits against Lincecum, who basically pitched out of a stretch in every inning because the Dodgers had at least one man on in every inning, but he did pretty well, allowing 4 runs. Kershaw was stung, a walk to Scudero on the home run by Posey. Otherwise, he's been breezing. One reason, he's only walked 1 while striking out 6. So Lincecum is gone. We have a new catcher, Guillermo Quiros, taking over behind the plate. And we have a new pitcher, Sandy Rosario, from Salcedo in the Dominican Republic. Originally with the Chicago Cubs, and the Giants picked him off waivers in December. So Rosario, 6'1", 210, working Mark Ellis. So it's been Lincecum, Mujeres, and now Rosario. High slider, ball 1. Ellis struck out, singled, struck out again. 1 for 3, hitting .273. Slider in, 1-1. Rosario is 6'1", 210. Came up briefly for 2 games, the real cup of coffee, back in 2010. Went back to the minor leagues again. Got that in there, 1 and 2. So he spent 7 years in the minor leagues. When he finally came up, he was in 2 games and went right back down again. Came up last year for 4 games, and now here he is with the Giants. A lot of time in the minors. Comebacker. And that'll do it for Ellis.
Right fielder, Yasiel Puig.
Yasiel Puig doubled, flied to right, single to left. He did it twice in Yankee Stadium, and he was 1 for 2. Hitting a single and not being happy with it, trying to stretch. He made it once. He was caught once. So he tried it again tonight, and he was thrown out easily by Andres Torres. But that's the way he plays, extremely aggressive, and he is 2 for 3, hitting .429. And ball 1. Both of Puig's hits tonight have come on the first or second pitch, which is pretty usual for him. Tonight the count was 1-0, and the second time the first pitch. On a 1-0 count, he's hitting .615. And he's going to hit a flare for another hit. Wow. So Puig is 3 for 4. On that 1-0 count, that means he is 9 for 14. When he swings the bat on the 1-ball, no strike count. 9 for 14. Didn't get a good swing with a pretty good pitch, but he's so strong, he was able to flare it into right. Well, the crowd loving every moment of it, especially the little ones. So Puig at first, and here's Gonzalez. Adrian 1 for 3. Here's Puig, 37 hits, and 27 of the 37 on the first or second pitch. Wow. High foul out of play. Perhaps you could say, with all those hits on the first or second pitch, not only the enthusiasm, but the impatience of youth. Either way, Bruce Bochy and the Giants, from what we've heard, are quite impressed with their first look at Yasiel Puig. He has 2 stolen bases. And a shot into left field for a base hit. Puig takes a turn but holds on. So with one out, the Dodgers have back-to-back hits. They've now piled up 12 hits. And the batter is Hanley Ramirez. Hanley Ramirez walked in the first inning, singled in a run in the third inning, singled and scored a run in the sixth. He's hit safely in 9 straight, and he has his batting average at .381. 4 runs, 12 hits for the Dodgers, 2 runs, 3 hits for the Giants. Dodgers trying to win their 5th in a row, trying to hand the Giants their 4th consecutive loss. Remember, the Dodgers have not swept a series from the Giants here at Dodger Stadium since 2009. Puig at second base has 6 hits in the series, and he was shut down last night. Fouled away. Down in the Giants bullpen, getting ready to pitch to Andre Ethier, I would believe. As tough a left-hander as there is, probably in all of baseball, in relief against left-hand batters. Javi Lopez. Dodgers trying to add to a 4-2 lead. 2 on with 1 out. On 1. Slider on the corner. Ramirez can't believe it. 0-2. So Puig, 3 hits tonight, 3 hits in the first game, nothing last night. And Hanley Ramirez with a walk and 2 hits and a stolen base tonight. Dave Righetti wants to make sure that Javi Lopez is ready. Oh, and 2. One and 2. Rosario working on Hanley Ramirez. Will be 28 in August. Made his major league debut a couple of years ago, and in 1 inning gave up 3 runs and 5 hits. And that's hit in the air to left field, but it's playable. Torres is there. Puig will hold at second. Gonzalez at first. And the batter will be Andre Ethier. And now here comes Boshi, which means here comes Javier Lopez. So 2 out and 2 on. And Javi being called in. So Rosario gets the news. He goes out with the Dodgers leading 4-2, and we'll be back. Had a pretty good hitting lineup. And then finally, with the thought of Matt Kemp coming back and the emergence of Yasiel Puig, suddenly the Dodgers seem to connect. And when you look at the box score, you see everybody but Schumacher without a hit. And that's the way they appear to be playing now. When they scored 6 runs last night, it was everybody in on the act. Well, here he is. He is as tough as they come for a left-hand batter. His earned run average 1.5. In the last 29 at-bats against left-handers, they're hitting 103 against him. He is a wonderful pitcher from San Juan, Puerto Rico. Javier Lopez, 6'4", 205 pounds, and he'll be 36 in July. Went to school at the University of Virginia. He is very bright, and so is his wife. And first pitch, a fly ball to center, but it didn't take Lopez long to get the out. Ethier flies out, and the inning is over. Dodgers waste 2 hits, leave 2, and we're heading for the 8th, 4-2 Dodgers. Offers. If you Bruce Bochy and look at it, you say, oh, for crying out loud. It's Posey, and that's it. Posey has singled to right, homered, and last time I popped up, so Kershaw allowed that home run on the heels of his only walk to Scudero. Clayton has only made 85 pitches in 7 innings, a hair more than 12 pitches an inning, and a far cry from that story we told you about at the start of the game. Remember the 16-inning Giants Braves game? Marichal made 227 pitches. Warren Spahn 214, and Spahn was 43 at the time. In for a strike. Crawford hit back to the box, grounded into a double play. 0-1. Bad ball. Crawford, no doubt pressing. He's been struggling at the plate, and it happens to all of them. 0-2. And down he goes. So Crawford has a rough at bat, strikes out. Now suddenly 7 strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw. Remember the Twitter poll question? Well, we've got it. Should Bruce Bochy select Yasiel Puig for the All-Star game? Those who say yes dominate. 87% of you think so. Meanwhile, Guillermo Queres, the catcher, hitting 9th, coming up. 0-1. Pretty aggressive first swing. So with Posey at first, Sanchez started the game. And Guillermo Quiroz in there now. He's from Maracaibo in Venezuela. Been in 25 games. Made 9 starts. Hitting just 171. Fouled away. Quiroz originally signed by the Blue Jays in 1998. 6'1", 205 pounds. He'll be 32 on the 29th of November. Curved ball popped up left side. Uribe and Ramirez. It's Uribe. Two out in the 8th. The Giants have had 1 hit since Posey's home run in the 4th. That was a little dribbler that Sanchez got a base hit. Uribe couldn't get to it and make the play. The Giants are on the edge now of not only losing 4 straight, but 9 of the last 12. Strike. 0-1. Andres Torres struck out, popped up, struck out again. Giants, of course, among other things, have had their bullpen turned around with injuries, so that's hurt them. They've also been a team without power. Oh, sure. We saw the home run by Posey and Belt last night and the home run by Posey tonight. They came here with 1 home run in their last 10, and they had been out homered 17-3 in the last 14 when this series started. Their starting pitching has been good. 1-2 the count. Remember, Kershaw and Lincecum have faced each other 6 times. This is the 7th. And should Kershaw go on to win, his record against the Giants and Lincecum in that personal duel, 5 wins and no losses. Of course, also remember Kershaw's incredible numbers against the Giants. This is his 19th start, 20th game he's pitched. And his earned run average against them 1.2. Line drive right at Ramirez. So Torres lines out. That'll do it in the 8th inning. And at the end it's 7.5, 4-2 Dodgers. play, it certainly meant a run, and that was awfully important as Lincecum bounced a breaking ball. Sanchez couldn't handle it. For Lincecum, it was his 4th wild pitch of the year, and the Dodgers got a gift run. They're leading 4-2 in the bottom of the 8th, and now they will see the 5th Giant pitcher. It's Jake Dunning out of Orange Park, Florida. Jake is 6'4", 195 pounds. He was drafted by the Giants out of Indiana University, and he is built like a reed, 6'4" and maybe 190. He was drafted in 2009 and really just starting out, made his debut on the 16th of June. He was at Fresno this year, where he pitched very well. In fact, his earned run average in Fresno was 1.7 in 23 games. So Dunning getting ready to pitch A.J. Ellis, Juan Uribe, and Skip Schumacher. Ball 1. Ellis, as usual. Ellis has tormented the Dodgers, the Giants in the Giant-Dodger game. He had a career .341 batting average, and he was hitting .320 against them this year. Right. And sure enough, came up in the 6th inning, doubled, scored a run on a wild pitch. A.J. hitting .250, 3 home runs, 15 runs batted in. We mentioned earlier that Colorado lost at Fenway Park. Didn't slow down Mike Kadire. Kadire homered twice. He is now hit safely in 23 straight. That ties a Rockies record. Back in 1995, Dante Bichette hit in 23 straight. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Lincecum, Mojarras, Rosario, Lopez, and now Dunning. And a one-hopper, nice backhand effort by Crawford. High throw, the tag was missed. So A.J. is aboard. Good stop by Crawford, but the throw got away from him. So we'll see how they rule it. I guess you could say with a catcher running, a good throw gets him anyway, but that was way off the mark. And A.J. just avoided the tag by Posey. Backhand, nice play. Now all you do is have to throw it to the first baseman. Couldn't do it. It will be an error charge to Crawford. Now Crawford gets another chance, and they get the double play on Uribe. Take another look at some scores just to give you an idea what's at stake as far as the Dodgers are concerned. The Red Sox beat Colorado. We told you about Mike Kadire and his 23-game hitting streak. Jordan Zimmerman gave up 2 runs in the first inning, a home run by Paul Goldschmidt with a man aboard, and then it shut him down the rest of the way. He's now the first 11-game winner. San Diego scrapping with Philadelphia, and they're tied up 5-5. Ground ball to third, knocked down by Sandoval. That will do it for Schumacher and the Dodgers. So down they go in the 8th inning, and we're heading for the 9th with the Dodgers leading 4-2. And so look at the division leaders. Atlanta in the East leading Washington. Washington won tonight. St. Louis out in front, but the Pirates were only one back before that game started, and they're locked up. Arizona, meanwhile, lost. Colorado lost. San Diego is tied, and the Dodgers have a shot to be 6 games back. So things are beginning to warm up. Besides the weather. 9th inning. Clayton Kershaw 3 outs away. He has Scutaro, Posey, and Pence, which was just about the heart of the Giant lineup. Scutaro grounded to short, walked, and scored on Posey's home run and reached on an error. So with Posey posing such a big threat, Scutaro trying to get aboard any way he can. Uribe about even with the bag at third. And a strike. Give you the kind of a game that Clayton Kershaw has pitched tonight. Here's the strike one pitch. Almost hit him. On an 0-2 count, the Giants are 0 for 10. One ball and one strike. Fastball in there. Kershaw has now made exactly 100 pitches. Kenley Jansen gets up in the Dodger bullpen. Posey's on deck. 2-2. For Kershaw, it's not even close. His highest pitch count 132. Curveball fouled away. Big slow curve. That thing came up at 72 miles an hour. Last game he pitched against San Diego. He went 7 and made 102 pitches. Second to the 132 would be 120 in 6 innings. But here he is tonight, 102, and he's in the 9th. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2. And again, remember Posey, the tying run on deck. Giants got up off the floor last night in the 9th inning and almost came all the way back. 3-2. Ground ball, base hit, leg out now. So Scutaro goes with a base hit to right field, and here comes Posey, who has a single and a home run and popped up. A reminder, Dodgers Live will be coming up right after the game. One of the things we mentioned early, the fact that Posey has a lot of hits in late and close situations. He has a lot of RBIs from the 8th inning until the end of the game. He also has a lot of RBIs when the Giants are behind. So this is Posey time for San Francisco, and Mattingly and company are fully aware of it. They have Jansen in the pen. And Mattingly's coming up the steps, and I think he's bringing a hook with it. So Don goes to the plate umpire. Usually when you see that, it's a double switch. Yep, Matt Kemp is the other part of the double switch. So the outfield will turn around. Kemp will go into center. Ethier will go to right. Puig will go to left. And I assume that Kenley Jansen will be coming in. Yep. Clayton Kershaw, a great effort, 104 pitches and an ovation. And we'll be right back. Plus allowed 4 hits and 2 runs, walked 1, struck out 7, trying to win his 10th against the Giants. However, Don Mattingly did not want to play any games with Buster Posey. He changes the outfield. Puig is now in left. Kemp, last night's defensive hero, is in center. Andre Ethier moves over to right. And Buster Posey representing the tying run at the plate. Kenley Jansen pitched in 3 straight games, so he couldn't pitch last night, and the Dodgers almost let it get away. So now they look to him to get 3 outs in the 9th inning. Posey is 1 for 6 against Jansen in the past. So Buster, as we mentioned a few minutes ago, very, very important, very, very tough in the late innings, and here we are in the 9th. Dodgers 4 runs, 12 hits. Giants 2 runs, 4 hits. And ball 1. Following Posey, Hunter Pence. $41,721. Seeing another tough Giant Dodger game. And ball 2. Kenley Jansen working on Posey. Jansen in his 39th game. 6 walks, 56 strikeouts. Posey with 10 home runs, 49 runs batted in. That's in there. 2-1. Jansen very deliberate, taking plenty of time. You can understand that. Scudero held on by Gonzalez. Kershaw rooting now from the dugout. Fastball hit foul off first, well out of play. The fastball at 93 and a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Jansen is a rather imposing figure standing on the mound. 6'6", about 255 from Curaçao, the Netherlands Antilles. He's only 25. Seems like he's been around a while because he came up in 2010. He'll be 26 end of September. 2-2 to Posey. Foul back. I've always been amazed what Posey can do as far as the quickness of his bat. He lets the bat actually hang over his right shoulder. It's just about pointed to the ground, and how he can get the bat from that position and catch up to 95-mile-an-hour fastballs is really something. There goes the bat. Another foul ball, 2-2. Dodgers trying for a sweep to sweep the Giants here for the first time since 2009. Ted Lilly talking. Bruce Bochy deep in thought. Scudero at first. Nobody out in the 9th. 4-2 Dodgers. And hit the center. Kemp coming up. Base hit. So here come the Giants again. They rallied last night and fell a buck short. And they're not going to go quietly into that good night. So back-to-back singles. The tying runs are aboard. Nobody out. High fastball. And Posey just kind of uppercutted it and hits it to center for a base hit. So Posey with 3 hits tonight. And now 2 on, nobody out. Pence Sandoval, and Perez in that order. Pence with 12 home runs, 40 runs batted in, 2 for 7 against Jansen. So Scutaro and Posey out there and nobody out. Fastball missed. Ball 1. Pence flied to right and twice flied to center. So Hunter 0 for 3. He's up there wailing. For Hunter Pence, he has 37 hits prior to tonight when the Giants are behind in the score. Well, he's 0 for 3, but a big opportunity now. 1 ball and 1 strike. Foul back. 93-mile-an-hour fastball. Ted Lilly, Clayton Kershaw, Stephen Fife in the lower corner of the screen. And the battle continues. Pence has 36 extra base hits, so he can motor. High fastball, and he went after it. That was 94, and down he goes. So 1 out. Fastball up there, was out of the strike zone. Down he goes. Remarkable set of numbers for Jansen. When you think of it, 6 walks, 57 strikeouts. Better than 9-1. Now the batter is Sandoval, and Pablo turns around to hit left-handed, and he is most dangerous from this side of the plate. He has 8 home runs, 7 of them as a left-hand batter. So the ambidextrous third baseman at the plate. Strike. Jansen facing the third baseman. Sandoval is 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts against Jansen as Scutaro and Posey take their leads with 1 out. One ball and 1 strike. Pablo tonight, 2 ground balls and struck out. Sandoval, 18 of his runs batted in have been picked up when the Giants are behind in the score. He's also a danger hitting into double plays. He's hit into 12. Foul back, 1 and 2. Sandoval with the rookie center fielder Perez due up, but Brandon Belt has a bat in his hands and a helmet. One and 2 to the Panda, as they call him up north. Fastball fouled away. Kind of a defensive swing. The pitch was away, but with 2 strikes, he couldn't afford to let it go by. And it was going by at 95. Dodgers 4, Giants 2, 1 out, 9th inning. Tying runs aboard. Scutaro at second, Posey at first. 1 out. Two and 2. That was 94. Pablo Sandoval. Quite a player. Outstanding World Series. And Boshi hoping he can do something for him right now. 2-2. Fouled away again. Dodgers, of course, scuffling here, trying desperately to give Kershaw a win. Mattingly knows full well Clayton Kershaw's last victory was May the 20th. That's 7 starts ago. A guy with an earned run average of 2, and he can't buy a win, as he talks to Ted Lilly. 2-2 the count to Pablo Sandoval. Marco Scutaro at second. Buster Posey, possible tying run at first, 1 out. And Pablo Sandoval, all 5'11" and at least 240 pounds of him at the plate. Boy, he can wait. And at the last second, that was a 94-mile-an-hour fastball, and it was almost in Ellis' mitt. And he was just able to fight it off. That's what the good hitters do. Two and two to Pablo. That was 94. He can flick away a lot of fastballs away, but not that one. So he joins Pence in striking out. Look at the location up there. So 2 down. And here is Brandon Belt will bat for Perez. He gave you that note about Brandon Belt. He was not in the starting lineup. His very first major league hit was against Clayton Kershaw. But since that base hit, he is 2 for 26 against Kershaw and 13 strikeouts. So needless to say, he didn't play tonight, but here he is in a big spot. 2 on, 2 out. 4-2 Dodgers. Foul back. 0-1. Brandon Belt has 15 of his RBIs from the 8th inning on. He has 17 RBIs from the 7th inning on. So he's very, very tough late in the game. 0-1. Crowd standing, 41,721. Everybody up. Another strike. So Kenley Jansen gave up a single to Scutaro, a single to Posey, struck out Pence, struck out Sandoval, and now has an 0-2 count on Brandon Belt. Kershaw in his 8 struck out 7. Kind of overthrowing that time. 1-2 the count. It's been a while. Dodgers haven't swept the Giants here since 2009. One ball, 2 strikes. Broken bat, pop fly, Ramirez. And the Dodgers have won 5 straight and now trail Arizona by 6. Clayton Kershaw gets his first win since May the 20th, and the Dodgers now await the arrival of the Philadelphia Phillies. Sweeping the Giants here for the first time since 2009. For the Dodgers, 4 runs, 12 hits, and 1 error. For the Giants, 2 runs, 5 hits, and 2 errors. Giants have lost 4 in a row. They've also lost 9 of 12. So they're hurting, and the Dodgers certainly would appear to be on the rise. as the lineup that they had in spring training finally took the field last night, and they finished with the lineup, albeit Kemp coming in for defensive purposes in the 9th inning. A.J. Ellis had a key double. The Dodgers piled up a dozen hits, and they give Kershaw his 6th win. Stay tuned to Dodgers Live coming up next. Good night, everybody.